Imagine a world where you could borrow money from a legendary figure, someone whose name is synonymous with genius. What if you could ask Albert Einstein for a loan? How many times could you do it before he'd run out of money? Today, we're going to dive into the fascinating world of theoretical physics and explore a hypothetical scenario. How many times could you borrow money from Albert Einstein? Before we get into the numbers, let's understand a few things. First, Albert Einstein was a theoretical physicist, not a banker. He didn't have a vast fortune in cash lying around. His wealth, if any, was likely tied up in investments or intellectual property. Second, we need to consider Einstein's lifestyle. Was he a frugal individual, or did he have extravagant spending habits? Knowing his personal finances would give us a better idea of how much he could afford to lend. Let's assume Einstein had a substantial amount of money saved up, and he was willing to lend it to you. How many times could you borrow? To answer this, we need to make some assumptions. Loan amount. Let's say you borrow a reasonable sum, perhaps a few $100,000. Interest rate. Einstein, being a brilliant mind, could probably negotiate a favorable interest rate. Let's assume it's lower than the market rate. Repayment terms. You'll need to repay the loan with interest over a specific period. Let's say it's a 10-year loan. Calculations and considerations. Now, let's do some calculations. Based on the loan amount, interest rate, and repayment terms, we can estimate how much you'd need to repay each month. But there's a catch. Einstein, being a scientist, would likely want to understand the implications of your borrowing. He might ask questions about your financial situation, your plans for the borrowed money, and your ability to repay. If he were convinced that you could use the loan wisely and repay it on time, he might be more willing to lend to you multiple times. However, if he felt that your borrowing was reckless or unsustainable, he might limit the number of loans he's willing to give. The limitations. Even if Einstein were generous, there would be limitations. His wealth, while substantial, is not infinite. There's only so much money he can lend before he depletes his savings. Additionally, Einstein's time is valuable. He's a busy man with important work to do. Spending too much time on financial matters could distract him from his research. While it's impossible to say exactly how many times you could borrow from Albert Einstein, it's clear that there would be limits. His wealth, his willingness to lend, and the practical constraints of his life would all play a role. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.